Welcome to the Northernist Podcast. We are two friends in fiber, crafting, living, doing nerdy things, and generally just being on the YouTubes. This is episode 162. We are, in theory, a knitting, spinning, crafting content show. However, guys, it never works out that well. I'm Jocelyn. My co-host is...
I'm Diana.
And we will try to, as always, lie and say we're going to make this as succinct as possible.
Lol. Okay.
Lol. We'll have to address right up front, guys. I'm going to cough a lot this episode. I have a new inhaler for spring, and it's not good. So I am not having a great spring breathing situation going on right now. So if it's a little jumpy this episode, it's because I will try to cut out as much of the coughing as I can. But if you hear it, I'm fine. This is just the world trying to kill me. This is normal spring stuff. I do have a cat. That being said, we're going to go through and do the best we can. But if you've noticed a couple of slightly jumpier jump cuts this week, it's just because I'm literally just taking out the worst of the coughing and the sniffling for everybody, because nobody should really have to hear me. And I'm super attached to my mug today. So I suppose I should start in on what's in our cup, I guess, eh?
Yeah. Yes, what is in the cup today?
I've secretly, not secretly, become everybody's grandmother. I'm drinking hot water with honey and a bit of lemon in it. And the teenager has arrived. I just did all that talk about cuts to cover up the coughing, and then we just had to do a cut because the teenager came downstairs to clean the cat box. Diana, do you want to let everybody know what you're drinking? Well, I drink my hot water and honey.
I mean, I'm not doing too much better on the old person thing. I have a giant mug of red rose tea with milk and sugar. It's,
holy, red rose tea?
I wanted the milk and sugar aspect of it, and I didn't want to waste the good quality tea on just drowning it in milk and sugar, so I used the less good quality tea.
Man. That's my version of Tetley Orange Pea Coke right there is what that is. I grew up drinking Tetley Orange Pea Coke with cream and sugar, or milk and sugar, with my grandma when we had tea parties.
This is like the classic cup of tea right here.
Yep.
Except it's like a giant half-liter mug. Like this is a Jocelyn-sized mug right here.
I approve. I lost a mug this week. A mug died.
Oh.
One of my big mugs. Distraught.
Leap to its doom?
No, it cracked on the inside at the bottom, so the ceramic finish was no longer sealed correctly. So once that happens, you can never properly get it clean again.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was the one of my Christmas mugs that had a chip in it anyway, so I'm like, oh, dude, you're done. That's sad.
It's now a knitting needle holder?
No, I let it go. No, it doesn't mean I have space in my cupboard for a new mug, so I guess, bonus?
Yeah, that's not terrible.
Sure. Listen. Cups of woe aside. What's next on the list?
Woolly workings. Because we're not going anywhere, so we're not wearing anything.
Well, I mean, I put on pants for you.
I debated just keeping my pajama pants on, but it's too close to the edge of the frame for me. Had to put on the jeans.
I showered. It felt appropriate to put on real clothes. So real clothes it is. I don't own uncomfortable clothes, so it's no different than wearing pajamas to me.
It's fair. This shirt is very much comfortable, and I do believe I have slept in it in the past. It's just that comfy.
Just fair. The universe has righted itself, and I have more projects than you, so I guess I'm going first, eh?
Yeah, go for it.
Oh, I showered for too long. It felt great up for my chest, but my scalp is angry. 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. The sock continues, mostly because I just work on it while we podcast. Guys, this is the Sally sock. I literally only work on this while we're podcast recording, so like next to no progress is made. I just putter with it. But it is something that I'm working on, so it counts. I am continuing to make my way up the leg of my sock. This is still sock 1. Still takes me forever to do any rows or anything. These are the larger size, like I went up a stitch count size so that I could have socks for when I've injured my foot. And it doesn't want to go in my regular size socks. So the Sally colorway is a now discontinued colorway from Knit Picks in their Felici. It is a muted color striping pattern that matches the character Sally from The Nightmare Before Christmas, which explains why I own it. Because Nightmare Before Christmas. These are going to go with my Jack socks, which are strangely enough inspired by Jack Skellington from The Nightmare Before Christmas. And then I will have 2 pairs of Halloween socks, which is really, then I've only got, what, 29 days left to go, and I can have a pair of Halloween socks for every day in October. Long-term, couple years old.
Roughly 600 more podcast episodes of sock knitting.
Yeah, you know, episode 800 or something, I'm finally done. I enjoy knitting socks, they're not a thing I reach for or grab for to work on. And I don't know why, because I enjoy working on it when I'm working on it. But it just never occurs to me to pick it up and work on them, so what do I know?
They're not exciting knitting.
They're not exciting knitting. I suppose I should talk about, I'll do the other quick little thing. I ordered from Walmart.ca the last of the yarn I needed for my aunt's blanket, because nobody's taking cash right now, and I left all the funds that she sent me in cash, so that money will just move over into my bank account and I'll use it for something else. So I ordered the last of the Bernat premium yarn that I needed to get to finish her blanket, and it should be arriving on the 6th of May. And since today's the 3rd, right? I think today's the 3rd.
I think so.
I needed to do some more squares. I literally did like 4 squares, and they're like 2.5-inch granny squares. And I just threw them in the bag. I didn't even leave them separate. I just tossed them in the bag. So I'm working my way through a Caribbean blue ball of Bernat premium right now. I'm literally doing 2.5-inch granny squares. See if I can do that without actually seeing what's going on. Nothing super fancy. It's a nice, soft acrylic yarn. Each of these 2.5-inch squares in each of the six colors that I will have them in, plus the neutral borders, and then the border yarn have to be sewn together to make a blanket. Holy Hannah, I've lost my mind. I love my aunt, so I have absolutely no problems doing this. So I am continuing to make progress. I do need to buckle down because I literally have like 12 balls of yarn or something I have to go pick up on the 6th. That's a lot of yarn.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like, I gotta get my keister in gear and get my stuff finished. I wanted to have it to sew while I was out at my mom's house, because she's got, her cat's a senior citizen, like a senior citizen.
Mm-hmm.
So he sleeps like 20 hours a day. Like he's in his twilight years. He's fine, he's happy. But because he's less active and there's no teenager in that house, it'll be easier for me to spread out across the living room floor the pattern and safety pin the pattern together in rows so that I can pick it up and sew strips. But it's a little bit harder here because my cat's a lot more active, and I randomly get invaded by teenagers and housemates and stuff, whereas my mom will sit in the chair and read, and I will have like 4 hours where I can just spread it out, double check, do the pinning. You know, I might have to get my mom a drink. That's fine. No mind. And they got the floor space for it. I don't really have the floor space for it, so not going to happen, I don't think, this year. Though my dad did secure a bunch of hardwood, so they're replacing the entire living room floor in the house in Saskatoon with real hardwood. Super exciting.
Nice.
I'm excited to see it. In case you guys didn't know, my hatred for carpets comes from my mom. No, my mom's always liked hardwood and linoleum floors everywhere. She really only did carpet in bedrooms, and even now she's not into carpet in bedrooms. So unless it's on stairs, there's no carpet in my house. And that is a byproduct of my mom. I'm also not a fan of carpet. Anyway, it's not super fancy. This is that blanket pattern you're supposed to do it in a rainbow. So you're supposed to have like a lot of colors, and it makes you start with a little 4 square grid pattern, and then each row out you change the colors, and you do sort of like a Roy G. Biv colorway kind of compilation. But my aunt really only likes blue and green, so I'm going to alternate blues and greens out with the gray neutral border squares between, and then I have a dark gray outside border to collect the whole piece together. So it'll be like a very sort of moody seascape color flow.
So good.
I know, I'm very excited to put it together. And then never do it again, because this is a lot of 2.5-inch squares, guys.
All right, I am diligently working away on this flax pullover. I remember how last week where I wasn't sure if I'd picked up my stitches correctly.
Yeah.
And yes, I was right. I had not picked up my stitches correctly, because the way the instructions are written, you pick up all the stitches around, and then you pick up 4 stitches from the body, place beginning of round marker, and then pick up 4 more stitches. And I missed that second pick up 4 more stitches. So I was 4 stitches short, and I had some weird holes going on. I'm like, this is not right. So I reread the instructions, pulled out my 2 inches of knitting, and fixed that. And now my underarm looks much, much nicer. It's only got the 2 little holes on the edges there that I can sew shut, no problem.
Beautiful.
Not a giant gaping hole like what the heck is going on here. And so here it is so far. I have maybe 1 more inch of straight knitting, and then it's time for decreases.
I love how you can see your camera as this dark spot in the middle of the screen.
So, okay, so behind the camera, the camera's sitting on a dresser with a mirror, and I have a desk light sitting on the dresser, pointed at the mirror, reflecting back at me, so my camera's not constantly re-white balancing, but I didn't realize.
It's this big blob
of the light. That's great. Okay, that's good. Today I learned. I'll hold it up on this side. No, now my face is in it. There we go. Okay. Today I learned.
Oh, the beauty of tech right there.
It's a wholly professional setup here. So once the sleeve is done, this sweater is like done, and it's going to be done in time for me to not be able to wear it because it's too warm. But it'll be done in time for next fall.
Perfect to bust out in your very first Ontario fall.
Absolutely. So once more with feeling, this is the Flax Pullover by Tin Can Knits. It is a free pattern that goes from newborn to 4XL, I think. And I'm knitting it out of yarn from Dye For You, who is a local dyer. The variegated orange is pumpkin spice, and the contrasting gray for the cuffs is charcoal. Just also, it looks like a solid gray from farther back, but it's actually also a very nice heathered, variegated, whatever.
Heathered.
Just love how these colors look together. So good. Because orange is not typically my best color necessarily, but I feel like the gray, collar really just like puts it that little bit further away from my face, so it doesn't look so odd. Because I generally go for the cooler colors, and orange is very not a cooler color, but I think with the gray it works.
No, I like it. I'm very excited. Oh, you're so close to finished.
I was knitting on it a lot last night. I was watching, YouTube suggested that I might like to watch a theater production of Frankenstein with Benedict Cumberbatch as the creature.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yes, YouTube, you are correct. So I watched that for 2 hours. And then I went to that theater's YouTube channel to see what else they had. And it turns out they had the exact same play, but with the actors of the creature and Victor Frankenstein reversed.
Oh, cool.
So I watched it again. I watched the same play for 4 hours just with the 2 actors reversed.
Listen, you've seen me binge.
It was an interesting comparison because Like, the lines are all the same, all of the other actors are all the same, everything else is the same, but just having those two flipped because they play the characters slightly differently, even with all the same lines.
Well, yeah,
So
because you'd have different takes on things.
it was an interesting comparison, and I'm getting way too warm with all these lights on and the window closed. I'm going to argue this back up into a bun and hope it stays.
I wish you the best of luck.
Anyway, assuming that those theater productions are ones that are going to stay up, I will link those in the show notes.
Well, yeah, I suppose because there's a lot of stuff right now that's just out, but it's out for just a short period of time, so.
Yeah, like it'll be up for a day or two. Like the Phantom of the Opera one was so good, but it was only up for like 3 days.
That's fine. Phantom of the Opera is not my favorite opera.
Is it even an opera? I think it's just
really.
a musical.
It's a musical. It's also not my favorite musical.
I'd never seen, my only experience with Phantom of the Opera was the movie.
Okay.
Then like the movie's like, it's not bad. I enjoyed the movie. But the theater production is like, oh my god. There's pyrotechnics in the theater production.
I've seen a couple of musicals. Mostly they're movie format for me because I don't really go to the theater that often. I'd like to go more often. And you and I both know who I yell at about that. Forgetful man, that boy.
Mm-hmm.
But it's fine. There are other musicals that I like better. So that's the thing. All right, let's talk Cram Cardi. I did not finish by the 1st of May. I am currently working on a sleeve. I mean,
it looks like a square.
Right now?
Oh, it's 3-dimensional. Okay, I see. It is a
right now it's just a really good cuff bracer. I go like this far, it'd be a bracer.
Yeah.
So I'm just working on my increases because you created up your arm. So I'm going to have to add some extra length in my upper arm and in my lower arm once I get to the appropriate stitch counts because my arms are a smidge longer than the norm. Which is fine. I'm accustomed to it. I did get my body finished. Added a couple of extra rows in there to make it the right length. And I've got it all sewn up. So I have a sewn body.
You have a vest.
I have a vest. I have a vest that is the right length. So all that is left is to finish my sleeve. I don't know where my other sleeve is. This is my second sleeve. I put it down somewhere safe, guys. It'll show up in like.
Oh no.
So we're gonna my second sleeve, and then I've just got my collar edging to do, and my bottom detailing. So, and I have enough gray, so I can just make this entirely in the gray. I don't have to choose a contrast color.
Nice.
Which is really good because I wandered into my acrylic yarn stash. I was in my stash, and I have bins. Okay, I say bins. You know those little cubby cardboard fabric covered shelf organizers you can buy?
The like cube one kind of things?
Yeah, the little cube dudes.
Yeah.
I have 4 of those full of scrap acrylic.
Oh.
So I was like, this is obscene. This is too much scrap acrylic. It's too much. I need to do something with this yarn. So at like 10 o'clock in the middle of the week, I'm getting ready to go to bed. And I can't take it anymore. I start a new project.
Of course.
There's not even a full little cardboard bin in this bag. Not even full. So there's a lot of scrap going on. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do another scrappy blanket. I'm gonna do it out of my acrylic. And I really love the look of those mitered squares, but I want to do something a little different because a lot of my acrylic's solid colored.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want like a congregation of blue squares or teal squares and then I run out and then all of a sudden I just have a random variegated in there. Or I get halfway through a square and then I'm going to change colors, right? So it's very patchworky, but I want to have a bit more cohesiveness going on when I have it put together. And I don't want to have to think about it because 4 bins worth of scrap acrylic. I mean, and some of it's like purple and pink, and some of it's a big thing of gray that I used half of a skein for, and I don't know what else to use the other half of a skein for. Or, you know, it's blues, or it's white, or it's ecru, or like this one looks like it variegates. Like I think there's another color in there. I've got some dark colors. I've got leftover acrylic from the 365 days of a year squares. There's a lot of scraps floating around in here. And I want to deal with them, but I want to make a pretty blanket when I'm done. Like, look at that blue. Isn't that a pretty blue?
Mm-hmm.
For everybody who's listening, Diana's just watching me literally pull out random balls of acrylic yarn. This one's not even a ball. It's just an acrylic blob. I didn't even bother to build
slightly
it.
ruder word for that, but yes, it's a blob.
It doesn't look as pretty as the emoji poop does, but yeah, you get the idea. I like tons of them in different colors, different shades. They're all acrylic. That's going to be my rule for this one. It's got to be acrylic so I can throw it in the washer and dryer, right? And I was like, okay, what DPNs do I have? I'm like, I've got 4.5 millimeter DPNs that are extra long. So these are 2 of them. They're very long, shiny metal DPNs. And at the 4.5 millimeter, it's going to be a very dense blanket. Perfect, because when do you use dense blankets? In the wintertime. So I started making squares, and I'm not connecting them. I'm going to do something different with them when they're done. So I 1, 2, 3, 4. I made 5 squares. I'll pull out one that's solid color and one that's not solid color. Maybe, if I can get my brain figured out. So I have some solid color one. Guys, it's a mitered square. Cast on 44 stitches. In this case, one of the ladies I watched when she was doing the tutorials for them was like, she's like, I hate counting. She casts on 22 stitches, like the backwards loop cast, like the super simple cast on. And at 22, she drops a stitch marker. Then she casts on the other 22. And because it's garter, that all she has to do is know which side is right side and which side is wrong side, because every time she's on the wrong side and she's decreasing, that stitch marker tells her when to decrease. The 2 stitches before, the 2 stitches after. Genius. I'm absolutely clearly doing that, because who wants to count all the time? Crazy talk. I like to watch TV while I make these. So there. So I've got a nice solid gray one, and this is really dense. Like, this is super smooshy. Like, if Diana was here, she'd be like, ooh, smooshy.
It does look very smooshy.
It's very smooshy. So I'm going to make a metric ton. 4 bins worth, you guys. But I am doing them so that sometimes I'll have ones that look like this, because the yarn changes color, or I run out and I change to a different color. And because I'm not sure how many squares I'm going to get for each thing, and I want to have these half-colored ones or partial colored ones distributed evenly through the blanket, I'm going to sew them together when I'm all done. So I'm going to have ends to weave in for days at some point, which is fine. I will do it. But in a mitered square blanket, I don't know if you'll be able to see it. You might be able to see it on this one. If you've ever done them, you'll notice that there's this beautiful little stitch detail that runs up the middle where you do your decreases. On one side, it's knit 2 together. On the other side, it's whatever the way is that I don't do it, because I just knit 2 through the back loop. I think it's a slip knit.
SSK.
SSK. I don't do that. I just knit 2 together through the back loop. You get the same look, and it's faster for me. So you get this beautiful little diagonal stripe up the middle of your square. So what I'm going to do is, once I'm done all my squares, is I have done a lot of hand sewing in my life. I will weave in the ends of my squares and lay them out in strips, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to do, in a thicker worsted weight yarn, in a worsted weight acrylic, I'm going to do a fancy top stitch detailing to connect all my squares. And I'm going to make that top stitch detailing color the same as the color of my border on the bottom of my blanket, which will also help pull it all together. So that's so good. And I had to start because I was offended by the volume of scrap balls of yarn I have in my collection in acrylic.
Just offensive. Okay.
Oh, I was like, nope. This is an epically long project, but it feels really satisfying to just finish a square. you're just like, yeah, I accomplished something today because I finished a square. And a lot of my projects are quite big. Like, we're officially into May. I need to finish the cram cardy, and then I think I'm going to spend the rest of this month trying to tidy up a couple of my other mostly done garments. Because I've got a shrug again that's almost done. So it's like I need to get through some things and get some things finished this month. Not a lot of things, because Stash Dash.
When does that start? That's sometime in May, isn't it?
I think the dates are a little weird this year. I'll have to double check the information to see if they're putting information out, because it's usually when Laura's on school break.
Right.
But school right now.
But when is school break right now?
Yeah. So I'm not super solid on the dates this year, but I gotta find that out because I've got some bigger projects that'll just be nice to sort of wrap up and finish and count towards my kilometer. And some I just want to get done. Like, I just want the shrug again done because it's a spring garment. So, like, I could wear it in May or June if I get it finished. So I just need to get it done. I also want those needles for something, so.
I feel like Stash Dash is, like, very soon.
I feel like it starts really soon and it runs to, like, July or something, or August. I can't remember. But we also got to prep for...
I'll hold off on the last 4 rows of my sleeve. So the whole sweater counts. Right. I'm probably supposed to talk about a thing.
I feel like you'll get bored.
Yeah,
while
probably.
You're in your hotel room, and you might finish it accidentally.
I might finish it.
And then it's done. You usually only ever set yourself like a kilometer as a goal anyway, which is really just a project.
Pretty much, yeah. Let's see. This one counts as, if I can find yards. Yeah, this sweater all on its own is 1,100 yards. How many yards to a meter? Meters to a yard.
You roughly get like 92 meters in a yard.
Anyway, the sweater is roughly, it's got to be at least a kilometer.
Yeah.
All right. So I unearthed my actual last work in progress. There's no more hiding in bins in Waterloo. Like, I have 2 projects in progress total. In my entire everything.
Get them done and cast on 6 new things.
Exactly. So, this is also my oldest work in progress. I was thinking about it there. I was working on the body of this shawl when I moved in to the Winnipeg apartment. And that was in 2015. And it's 2020.
What?
So I've been working on this shawl.
What?
For 5 years.
Diana, finish the shawl!
This is the Celtic Myths fingering weight version shawl. So you can see on this one side, it's a crescent-shaped shawl with just a stockinette body, which I zoomed through and found incredibly enjoyable to knit, because I really love this yarn, which I'll talk about in a second. But this border, this Celtic super complex cabled border, anyway, it looks super complex to me, that is knit on, and I am just now halfway done. Oh gosh. I think when I started this project, I was not quite advanced enough to be doing something of this detail. I am now, because I can cable without cable needles and drop down and flip Smith's crossed cables, both of which I have done on this shawl now. So it's a much less daunting project, so I think it'll go much quicker now that it's very quickly going to be my sole work in progress.
Oh, man.
But
you need to get that done.
We hit 20 degrees the other day, and my parents have a very nice backyard, complete with hammock. So I took my audiobook and my knitting outside to the hammock, and I got all of 2 rows done before I fell asleep in a hammock in the sun. for like 2 hours. But 2 rows counts.
It can't, I mean, I talk about my sock every week and I only work on it while we're recording.
It counts.
It counts.
I just, I drape this artistically for a moment.
Okay.
Oh, this is it's gonna look so good.
Okay, that project's old enough, people might not even remember what color of yarn you're using, never mind what kind of yarn you're using.
Yes, I was just about to pull out the yarn and talk about it. I need a ball band, though. Oh, hey, look at that. I found washi tape. I was wondering where that went.
I'm not even going to ask.
Well, because when I was packing up, I noticed that there was a hole in the boxes of washi tape that I had, and I didn't quite know what had happened to it, but because this is the pattern for the edging is charted, I had washi tape in here that I'd been sticking and using to mark. But that was, of course, before I started using Knit Companion for this project, which is much nicer because washi tape loses its stick after you re-stick it about a dozen times. And then the edges peel up and sometimes it falls off and then you find it all stuck to your stuff in your project bag and it's like, well, this is not helpful. And so, I don't know, Knit Companion was just being a little bit nicer. Bit of a pain to use on a phone, but if you have a tablet, Knit Companion, highly recommend. Anyway, this yarn is Juniper Moon Farm Zoe Base, which is a cotton linen blend, and it's a little bit thick thin, and I think it's actually technically a DK and not a fingering weight. I have no idea what does this have. It's color number 9. That's not helpful. It's a brown gray brown.
Oh, your wordage. I love your wordage.
I don't know, what color would you call that? Tan? Camel.
No.
God, it matches me again. I'm like brown burgundy monochrome today.
You are the beige.
I am dark beige. Mr. Diana has converted me. I am dark beige today.
Oh, don't go down the Mr. Diana beige route. Say no. Diana, say no. Come back to color. Come back to color.
It's too late for me. Save yourself. Anyway, I got completely off track.
That is a very cool, muted, kind of brown, almost into the gray range. It's a really deep taupe is what it is.
There we go.
Yeah.
It really matches this bedding behind me. Wow.
We're just, man, save yourself. Get some color.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Order some 1972 from Cloud9 Fiberworks.
No, it's totally not working. Anyway, it's kind of thick thin, which gives it a very. It's what I found so very enjoyable about the just the plain stockinette, because like the very slight color variation and the slight thickness variation gives us this very like. I love this texture, like, and it even like it has a. It feels like it has a texture. It doesn't just look like it has a texture. And I really enjoyed knitting stockinette in this beige yarn. Oh gosh, it's just so much beige. I don't know anymore. Anyway, I can't work on this while we're podcasting because I have to read a chart, and I can't read a chart and carry on a conversation at the same time. I can't even carry on a conversation and read 2 lines of a pattern at the same time, as I discovered last week, so.
I have known you long enough to know that you are a one thing at a time kind of human.
Yep.
That's fine.
One thing at a time and the thing gets done.
Yep.
Eventually.
Oh man, you need to finish that, get that off your needles.
I know, this is... Anything else that was this old that I hadn't finished yet, I frogged it a year or 2 ago. This is the oldest thing to have survived frogging, because I still want this shawl. Still, 5 years later. Good grief. Just think of all that wearing time that I've just been missing out on. I could have been wearing this shawl.
Well,
and I've been missing out because I just didn't get it done.
finish it up. It is the right time of year for cotton linen.
It really is. Okay, it's getting done.
Okay.
Also,
I've heard that.
bag. I really love this bag.
Oh, that's the Dragon Fiber bag.
Yeah, it's the Dragon Fiber bag.
She makes good bags.
She really does. She had a matching teapot one, and I was so tempted. And I slightly regret not buying it, but I really don't need it. I still can't justify it because I don't need it. I still want it. It's long gone. I still want it.
I like a lot of her Harry Potter fabrics.
Oh, yeah. She finds really great fabrics.
Yeah, it's really good. All right. Time for a new section.
Spinning. We've got spinning.
We do. We actually have we need to make a decision. I have an empty drop spindle. This is no good. Something has to go on the drop spindle.
Well, yeah, it'll get cold.
That's my theory on it. So I finally pulled off my very first completed drop spinning project.
That looks so good.
Yeah. So it looks really good. It still needs a bath. I mean, I've definitely hit that art yarn that I was looking for. So I've got wonderful nibs and knobs and a super beautiful unevenness to it. My uneven isn't even, which only makes sense if you like art yarn. Because you want it to be kind of crazy, but you also want it to sort of have a flow. So I'm not quite there yet. Some of my thin bits are still a bit too thin, and some of my not thin bits are still a bit not too thick. So I haven't quite got the art yarn consistency going yet, but I did really good for my first go at it. So I'm super happy with how this turned out. Beautiful. It is a bag of yarn that I no longer have the bag for right in front of me, so I can't make the crinkly sounds to read it, but it's got this beautiful colorway change from deep green into this beautiful tawny golden yellow color. And then we got stellina all the way through it, so you got some sparkle. And you don't see a lot of it because a lot of it didn't turn out super high, but there was even white bits in it. So like we had a ton of colorage going on in here. So it's my tiny little skein, mostly because I did a little mini one to see if I liked drop spinning out of the fiber first. And I decided I really enjoyed it. So I spent the other half of the skein making, the other half of the fiber that I had, making an art skein. So I have no idea if this will grow up into anything or if this will just become a display thing. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. You can see my beautiful acrylic yarn ties. I have so much acrylic yarn. So that's in here, and that's beautiful. I do need to give it a bath at some point. Not right away, but that's just because I just finished spring cleaning. I don't want to do any more cleaning or washing of extra anything right now. So I'm going
to spin right now.
So I need to start something. So I was like, well, I'm recording with Diana. I'm going to ask Diana what she thinks I should spin next on my drop spinning.
Okay.
I've got prepped fiber, but of course there's always temptations, right? So I have this SW Merino top in ultraviolet from Hillary's Yarnorium. There's a name we don't use very often.
Fiber in my nose.
And it's
that one.
Amazing purple pink.
Ooh, okay.
Match.
Depending on other choices, that might be my vote.
I pre-drafted, so we'll get a nice sort of shots of pink and purple through it, as you can see through my shiny, super state-of-the-art Ziploc bag container.
Oh gosh, it looks so good.
I can see the yarn through the Ziploc bag. So I've got my pre-draft bumps ready to go. But it's not like I've stopped buying fiber. Once I decided I enjoyed spinning, that was it. I was off to the races, you guys, as I always am. So there's other contenders, because I could also, both of these are from Cloud9 Fiberworks, who, I mean, if we're going to be honest, we're friends with Daria, guys. And we really love her stuff. So I've got some fluffy top of hers in the Into the Mystic color range, which is this gorgeous sort of muted pinks and creams and blues. Yeah, purpley blues and like a touch of teal and some white in there. It's just gorgeous. So pretty.
That has a totally different feel to it, but also very, very pretty.
So like the ultraviolet's got that super squishy like kid feel. Like, yeah. This is very like, this is a muted adult colorway. This would go great in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
But, because all my fiber lives together, I of course can't just see one. I gotta see all of them. There's the one that I've thought about really hard and didn't buy, and thought about really hard and then didn't buy, and then I bought 2 of them, which is the Russian Mint colorway, which is
that one.
Gorgeous, moody, black. I know I'm crazy into this super stunning mint green color. And it's just yeah, it's all sort of stormy sky weather, stay indoors, stormy kind of greeny blue black colorways in it. So like I feel like this would be really fun to spin as well. So I don't know which one I want to spin. So I've got this great sort of moody coastal storm in the Russian Mint, which I just love the name. And I've got this beautiful sort of summer prairie sky into the mist colorway.
Okay.
And then we've got the ultraviolet, which is literally looks like pink and purple are having a baby together.
Looks like something that came out that you'd harvest off a unicorn.
It looks like cotton candy.
Oh, it does. It really does.
Looks like pink and purple cotton candy. So I don't know which one to spin. I only have 1 drop spindle, so like I gotta pick one and commit. See my problem?
Well, you have 2 of the Russian Mint, right?
I have 2 of the Russian Mint.
That feels like a lot for a drop spindle, so maybe not that one.
Okay, that's a good way of making that decision. No Russian Mint.
Much as I love that color, but I feel like that would just be a heckin' big project for a drop spindle as a second project.
It would. I almost feel like I should do the ultraviolet just because it's the older stuff.
And it's already pre-drafted, so you can just start.
That's true. And it does look like cotton candy, so it would be really delightful as an art skein. Okay.
That's what I'm thinking. I'm leaning towards the pink-purple ultraviolet.
Okay, ultraviolet it is. I just needed to talk it out with somebody, because you know what you're doing. You're staying at your own stash, and you get... can't ever make up your mind. It's too much work. And then nothing happens, and you randomly start an entirely new blanket project. It happened entirely because I wasn't sure if I needed a contrast color for my cardigan.
So you should definitely take a picture of all of those 3 skeins of fluff and put that on Instagram so that I can use it for this week's thumbnail.
I will do that for you, no problem. No problems, but that's my spinning. Like I have random things of acrylic yarn just chilling out on the side of my computer desk for no reason.
I like your theoretical spinning.
Thank you. I'm going to do some more drop spinning. I enjoy drop spinning.
All right. I'm going to shake things up. I did some sewing.
Woohoo!
I mean, what's everybody sewing right now? Everybody's making masks, but I obviously don't have any of my own sewing supplies with me right now. My mom has a sewing machine and everything, but her bobbin winder doesn't work. And I was highly disinclined to wind bobbins by hand. So I hand sewed a mask, and I think it actually came out okay. I'm really pleased with it.
It's really cute.
The plaid fabric on the front here, this is a red background with green and yellow and blue stripes, and it's a plaid. It used to be pajama pants, and the white on the back, pardon the makeup stains, I did wear it the other day to test it out. The white on the back was a pillowcase. So I can link the YouTube video that I used to make this. It's got a pocket, so you can put a filter in it if you're so inclined. I have been putting little cotton makeup pads just to try and prevent moisture and steam from fogging up my glasses. I also had some, there it is, pipe cleaner that I was trying to put up in there, but I need to sew a little pocket for it properly so that the pipe cleaner will, let's just turn this around, so the pipe cleaner will actually stay at the top in the middle. That's not the top in the middle. Anyway, so it'll actually stay there so I can clamp it around my nose, because trying to wear a mask with glasses is just hard. Because like the instant you breathe at all, it's just steam. And it's just, like, I can be blind, or I can reduce my interaction with germs. It's a lose-lose.
Could you imagine me trying to wear a mask given how much I sneeze?
Yes, that's very, yeah.
It's not a good option for me, unfortunately. I wish it was, because I really would like masks, and just like if you're sick, you have hay fever, you wear a mask to just be the social norm, because they're so practical.
Yeah, and it's actually like
helpful.
They look a little bit cute, honestly. Like
Yep.
Masks have been a thing that's just normal to wear in China for ages, and I always thought that just looked so cool.
Yeah.
Oh, all right. And for the elastics, of course, string elastic is something that you can't buy anywhere right now because everybody's using it to make masks. So what my mom and I tried was we got some just hair elastics from the dollar store and cut those apart, and they kind of work. They're just a little bit too short, unfortunately, but they do work, technically speaking. So demonstrational purposes here.
Well, you said your mom was able to track down some like proper elastics. You're gonna switch it out for the.
Yeah, she went digging through her stash and she did find a bit of elastic left. So I just need to replace the elastics on these because you can see they like pull my ears way forward, so it doesn't quite work. So it needs some improvements, but generally speaking, it works. And I sewed it entirely by hand, and I'm really pleased.
I'm very glad.
I finally got to try out all the historical stitches, because I've been watching a lot of, everybody has this thing that they've just been absolutely binging because it makes them feel better in quarantine. So my thing has been historical sewing. So I've been watching all of these hand sewing tutorials and had nothing to sew, and I'm like, masks, stupid, sew a mask by hand.
So what you're saying is you're ready to help me with my French seams?
I'm so down for helping with French seams. I did running stitches just for the hem, although in retrospect I would have liked to try felling the hems. So if I make another mask, I'll try felling the hem.
Okay.
And then inside, oh gosh, this is looking a little rough. But then inside, can you even see this? Okay. No, you can't, because I picked thread that matched. But trust me, there's a slightly wonky running, or not a running backstitch, it's just normal backstitch. It's so I've backstitched the edges together. Honestly, I probably could have done a running stitch on that too, because it's not like it needs to take a lot of strain. And trying to sew through a hair elastic is a pain in the ass. So that part didn't turn out very well. I really need to replace the elastics, but I'm so delighted that I got to try out this back stitch and this running stitch, and I'm gonna fell the hems. Maybe I'll just take out my running stitch and fell the hems on this one, because the running stitch is pretty uneven, to be honest.
Well, that, and you're gonna switch out the elastics anyway for a better elastic, so
yeah, but it works.
I'm very excited. Looks cute.
I'm quite pleased with this.
Woohoo!
So I will link to the tutorial I used for that one, because it's a channel that has several different mask ones. So there's ones that don't have pockets this one's just a couple of rectangles, but that channel also had one where you start out with a dinner plate and you cut it into quarters and then sew the curvy pieces together. That one didn't have a pocket, but then it just shaped nicely around your face rather than having the folds like this one does to shape around your face. But
okay.
I'm learning so much from sewing a couple of rectangles together. Like, I'm unreasonably excited about this.
I don't think so. I think it's good, and it's a big accomplishment because hand sewing is a lot of work.
I did not want to wind a bobbin by hand, it probably would have taken a comparable amount of time.
You will never catch me winding a bobbin by hand.
Yeah, it's
No.
also the sewing machine. It's not a portable one. It is attached to a whole table, and it's in the basement, which is just not nice. And that was one of the like nice 20-degree days. I'm like, no, I'm sitting up here in the sunroom where it's sunny and breezy, and yeah.
That's fair. No, I think that is amazing. I'm very excited for you.
And sorry. I'm really pleased. And I learned that flannel really doesn't iron very well.
No.
Cotton iron's great. Flannel does not. That's a fabric characteristic that I learned.
All right. Well, some sort of drama's going on upstairs.
Oh dear.
Shall we move on to wool gathering?
Yes.
We only got the one thing.
Yeah, just as per usual, the next Patreon hangout is the second last Saturday of May, which is I wrote the date down, the 23rd. It'll be the 23rd of May at noon Manitoba time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a Google Hangout where we hang out with all of our Patreon supporters at $5 or more, just to see what all of you are working on and to say thanks for supporting us financially, because I don't know about you, but like me personally, I'm like, people give us money for this. I just like, what? I just blows my mind every time the thought crosses.
Very weird. It is great. It is super appreciated. And if you can't, Diana always has her smash that like button statement.
Smash that like.
Commenting, reviewing, liking podcasts, that is also super helpful, and we appreciate all of your guys' time and effort that you put into doing that, because we know it takes time. And time is precious, and we value that you guys are willing to spend time with us, and it's very nice. Very kind of you. Also,
I don't understand, but it's so cool.
I need to look up that back scrubber recipe, like the back scrubber pattern. I feel like I need to make some.
Yeah.
Anyway, we always like to add to Jocelyn's TBR, and the monthly Patreon knitting is the perfect way to add to Jocelyn's TBR. Everyone's gotten very good at it. Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys are the worst.
And by that she means best enablers.
You're so good at enabling. It's delightful. So it's good. It's nice to talk with everybody like in real time and see everyone's backgrounds and their cats, what I'm eating that day, because I'm almost always trying to smash lunch in my face just before we start. That's how the world works, people. What is it? And that's how the cookie crumbles.
I think that just leaves us with literature.
It does. It leaves us with books.
Books.
I read a book where I was like, meh. And then I read a book that I really liked.
We're both reading the same series of books at the moment.
I finished the Bobaverse trilogy books by Dennis E. Taylor. The third of the book is These Many Worlds. All These Worlds?
All These Worlds?
All These Worlds?
These will be linked in the show notes.
Recording. It's correct in the show notes. I make sure the show notes are correct. So even if I'm not correct, at least the show notes are. It is the third of the book in the series. It wraps up the storyline beautifully. The puns continue. The absolutely delightful universe that Dennis E. Taylor has set up is really well done. You have some feels. You've got some triumph moments. You have some moments of pain. It's a really good wrap up to the series.
Oh, okay. I'm looking forward to it. I'm almost done the second book for We Are Many. And yes, I second all of that. I read the part with the feels the other day without wishing to give away spoilers, but the part with the feels, but I had some feels.
Does a really good job. Really good job. So
it was good.
I am super delighted, and I will likely be re-listening to that book series shortly because I really enjoy it. Then I finished the one with the silver in the title.
Yeah, you can write down the full one. A Dance of the Silver and Shadow is what I wrote down last week.
Yeah, that's the one. It was fine.
Meh.
I've read better. I've read worse. but mediocrity isn't really gonna help you stick in my brain. It didn't stand out to me in any particular way or fridge. So I mean, it was an enjoyable read, but
All right.
it's not one I'm gonna run around ranting that people need to read right away.
Fair enough. Is that a fantasy one or?
It's a romancy.
Okay. All right.
I do a lot of the genre romances, so if I say romance, it's like paranormal romance or fantasy romance or urban romance. Isn't not very often am I reading like a straight up historical romance or like a romance or like contemporary romance. It's always sort of romance and. Sweet. All right. I gotta say that we're gonna sign off before I start coughing again. Also, I have mushroom barley soup in the fridge. I think I want to warm up and eat.
I have leftover fried rice that I'm gonna eat.
Not that fried rice is okay, but
I made some fried rice for Experimental Tuesday this week. Gotta edit that today.
I suppose I gotta wait till Tuesday and watch, don't I?
I learned some tricks with the addition of eggs to make it actually work nicely. So.
Oh, cool.
It was good. It was good success.
Excellent. All right. In which case, I'll say if you're lucky enough and you're a Patreon member and you get the Experimental Tuesday videos, we're watching Diana make fried rice this week. And I will say until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you,
don't forget to. I was too early that time.
That's fine.